Okay, last week we started talking about the economic systems. We talk about the traditional system. We talk about the command system, and we talk about the market system. Okay, so far, now we're gonna go deeper into the command system. Remember the command system. The command system, the one who decides how they are going to produce, how they are going to use the resources, how they are what they are going to produce, how they are going to produce, and to whom they are going to produce these resources. So the government, the state establishment is the one who decides who's going to decide what to do. They are not going to ask anybody else. They are going to decide on their own. Okay. Okay, this is it. Now remember, you need to write on top the title, command economists, underline it, and then the vocabulary. And the vocabulary is this one: central plan economies, socialism, communism, and we're going to talk about the socialism, communism later on, an authoritarian system. Okay. Now remember, all this information is already loaded up in NEO's platform. The PowerPoint, and also you have the PDF document that you need in order to study for this chapter, guys. Okay, over here is the objective of the class. I'm not gonna read it because we are running out of time, guys. So you read it at home. Okay, let's begin. Government controls. In command economies, leaders decide what should be produced and how it should be produced. They also decide for whom it should be produced, in part by setting wages, by determining who earns the highest wages and who the lowest wages. These leaders decide who has the money to buy available products. A system in which the society's leaders, usually members of a central government, it is like that, make all economic decisions is called centrally planned economy, the same as command economy. Those are synonyms. Okay, now let's see this in an example, guys. What if government were further? Si ese gobierno tuviese más poder y fuese más allá. Okay, now let's suppose the bureaucrats in a government office in Washington DC had the power to decide which businesses could operate in your city, in your town, in your country. Okay, they decide. Let's pretend this happened. Let's go further. These bureaucrats decide not only what these businesses should produce, but also how much each business should produce each month. So they control what you're producing, and that's a characteristic from a command system. Finally, they also decide who could have jobs and set work hours. They say how many hours you're gonna work, and they gonna tell you pay scales, una escala salarial. Government controls of this type are feature of a command or centrally planned economy. Okay, these are features of this type of government controls. Okay, now over here there is a chart where they compare the market economy with a command economy. Over here there are some examples of countries. Hong Kong, Singapore have limited government intervention, while Soviet Union, China, Cuba, they don't have. They control everything. Over here now, the difference between the owner who owns the government. Over here, the first owned by private sector, and while the command economy industry owned and managed by the government. Everything is managed by the government. The price, they control the price. Government may provide more equitable distribution of resources. Now, I think this the only benefits. They try to distribute everything for everyone. But the rest, they control everything. There's no profits. No, I don't like this kind of system. But anyway, really, this kind of pure command economy, it doesn't exist, really. It doesn't exist. But anyway, these are one of this type of economic system. Now, this kind of economic system works, or it exists in this type of political system, in socialism and communism. Now, who's the father of the communism? Mr. Karl Marx. Okay, he was a German who was born in the 19th century. He was a philosopher, historian, and economist. According to Marx' analysis, all history is a struggle between classes, and that's true. Always the monarchy against the people, the kings against the people because they want to collect more taxes. So it's a class struggle. Okay, this is true. This statement is completely true. In his own time, the struggle was between the owner of the great industrial factories and the workers who exchanged their labor for wages. While the industrialists grew rich, the workers remained relatively poor. Acuérdense que esto se dio en la época de la revolución industrial, Industrial Revolution. Y aquí simplemente lo que le importaba era producir a los dueños de las grandes fábricas. Ellos explotaban al trabajador, trabajaban niños, no trabajan 8 horas, trabajan 12 y hasta quizás más horas. El área física era infrahumana, o sea, no había nada. Todo era simplemente para satisfacer la producción y el beneficio del dueño de la fábrica. Y entonces, pues en aquel entonces es que surge un movimiento para tratar de romper esto, y por eso es que todos los primeros de mayo se celebra el Día del Trabajador, porque un día así fue que se logró tratar se trató y se llegaron a acuerdos con los empleadores, entre los empleadores y los trabajadores. Ya por eso que ahora tenemos jornadas de 8 horas, no más de 8 horas, hay lugares, mejores ambientes de trabajo y cosas así, más beneficios para el trabajador, ¿ok? Debido a esto, debido al movimiento esto, ¿ok? Marx predicted that in time the worker would overthrow, tumbaría, the system and transfer owner of the factories to the people. With the means of production owned by the government, the class struggle would be resolved and all citizens would share in the wealth. Todos referirían lo mismo. Now, over here, there's a chart that compares communism and socialism. You may think these are the same. No, these are not the same. Now, let's see the difference. Who owns resources over here? ¿Quién es el dueño de los recursos aquí? In the comunismo, it's the government. While in the socialism, there's a big difference. The government owns basic resources, and that's it. The rest are for private owners, okay? And while in the system, everything is the private, okay? That's the big difference from the communism and socialism. The communism, everything controls the government. Over here, only the government controls the basic resources, and the rest, it could be managed by the private sector. Okay, that's basically the difference. Now, socialism and communism. What is a socialism? Now, this is the father. This Karl Marx. I'm pretty sure you have seen this picture. You have wondered who this guy is. Who is this guy? Now, this is Karl Marx, the father of the communism. Okay. Now, what is the socialism? Socialism is an economic system in which the government owns some or all of the factor production developed from the idea of Marx. Now, let's see the communism. The communism are more extreme. This is the word, keyword. Extreme from a socialism. It's a socialism, but it's a very strong socialism. It's the communism. A more extreme form of socialism in which there is no private ownership of property or no political freedom. Que no hay libertades políticas. Nada, aquí solamente todos siguen the same line, la misma línea. ¿Ah? Also grew out of Marx thinking. Todo nace del pensamiento de Karl Marx. Essentially, it is authoritarian socialism. Comunismo Es un socialismo autoritario. An authoritarian system requires absolute obedience to authority. Tienen que hacer lo que dice la autoridad, si no, va para la chirola. Figure 2.1 lists the major characteristics of socialism and communism. This is the one that I printed over here. This is the one, 2.1. Okay. Now, democratic socialism is established through the democratic political process rather than through the violence overthrow of the government. In this form of socialism, the government owns the basic industry, but other industries are privately owned. So that's the difference between the communism and the socialism, guys. Okay, I'm gonna stop right here, and then tomorrow we'll finish this PowerPoint. Remember, this PowerPoint is already in your platform. Now I want you to watch these videos that talks more about the socialism and communism. I'm gonna play first the socialism. Pay attention, guys.
I mean, we hear about it all the time in the news, but what really is it? Today on the Mr. Sin channel, we'll be talking about socialism and what it is and how it impacts society. Socialism is an economic system that focuses on wealth distribution. It does have some aspects of a market economy, and it also has some of a command economy. If you don't know what I'm talking about there, click on the cards above. They'll show you those videos where I go into a market and a command economy. But socialism, the goal of it is to have wealth distribution. There'll be still some rich and there'll be some poor, but their goal is to have more people in the middle. Now, to do this, the government plays a role in the economy. This is different than capitalism, especially true capitalism. The government is involved here. And normally how the government distributes wealth is through taxes and then the redistribution of those taxes. And this could take shape in a variety of ways. Maybe in an income tax, it could be also a sales tax, it could be property taxes. All these different taxes would be used to be able to create then a distribution where money can be spread out throughout the people. A lot of times what occurs is the wealthier get taxed at a higher rate, while the people who have less get taxed at a lower rate. Now, this is one of the controversial things with socialism. Some people say that you shouldn't just tax the wealthy because they have done well in society. Others, though, point out that, well, maybe the wealthy have benefited more from society and they should give back to society. And then again, there's a counter argument saying, well, they could donate to charity and let them make their own decisions. And you shouldn't just punish people. And we could go back and forth on these things all day. And in class, I am sure we will be debating this. But socialism, the big focus of it is wealth distribution. If you remember anything from socialism, remember it's all about bridging the gap. You still will have some people who are wealthy and some people who are poor, but the goal is to have more people in the middle. Now, this can be a big advantage for a lot of people as there are safety nets and people will have protection. If you fail, the government's there to help you get back on your feet. On the other hand, though, too, the disadvantage, like we've already brought up, is that it could stifle innovation and creativity. The reason being that the government will step in when you become more successful and maybe take away more of your money. So hopefully you understand exactly what socialism is, how it impacts people in a society, and how it's even different than capitalism, the one that I've already referenced. Make sure to check out my...
Let's stop right here and let's move on with the other video that talks about communism.
Welcome to the Mr. Sin channel. Today we're going to be talking about communism. We'll see what communism is, why some people like it, and why some people don't. So let's figure out what's going on in the world of communism. Communism's goal is to create a classless society. Now, communism's been practiced throughout history and even today in a variety of ways, but true communism tries to get as close as possible to a classless society. If you're going to remember anything about communism, remember classless society. When Karl Marx created communism, he had this idea of capitalism being evil. He thought that capitalism would just drive revolution in society, that eventually people would get so upset with all of the losers and the few winners, and it would rise up and eventually take over the government and the businesses and the bourgeoisie. Now, Karl Marx thought this would lead to socialism, where we would see the bridged gap between the different classes, and then eventually another kind of revolution, and we would get to communism. Marx believed that for communism to work, we had to have a big government, at least at the start. The government would come in and collect all the resources, the means of production, and then distribute them evenly. Over time, then, the government's role would continuously shrink. As people became equal, there would no longer be this constant fighting over scarce resources. And when everyone had the same amount, there would be no more an incentive to continuously outdo people. And so then by having everyone be the same, we would have order, and the government would no longer be needed. And so in true communism, the government then would continue to shrink until eventually they go away. Because if the government stays, that is a class in its own, and then people in the government would be above others, and that would defeat the purpose of a classless society. Communism's great on paper. It sounds really good. Unfortunately, we haven't seen a lot of examples, at least on the large scale, throughout history of communism working. Normally what starts to happen is communism will be put in place, and then a dictator or a big government will take over, and they don't relinquish their power. That's kind of the human error. So the same with communism is great on paper, but bad in practice, partially because of human error. Now, in smaller societies, we've seen communism work. Just again, though, on the large scale, it doesn't work that much. People give up too much individual freedoms, and corruption normally comes in. Hopefully you can understand exactly what communism is, how it's supposed to happen, and why it just doesn't necessarily work. I'm Mr. Sin. Thank you for joining us today to learn about take over the government.
Sorry guys, sorry. Okay guys, so I think you have the big picture about what is the difference between this kind of political system where the command or plan system works. Okay guys, now before we finish, I want to show you over here, where is it? Here. Here. You have already in your PowerPoint, you have all the information about what I just finished. Also, I load up a couple of some videos. Over here is the PDF and also the PowerPoint. Now another thing that I want you to take a look is this one. Because at the beginning of the class I asked if you know how to create mind maps. I'm gonna assign you a job for you, a task for you to do it. Okay, so anyway, for the ones who doesn't know how to create a mind map, I load up over here the meanings and a couple of videos, and also over here I have a list of different sites that you may use. Now you can use. Now I'm gonna ask you to do something on week number 5. Okay, now you can do it either in internet and then download it and send it to me, or you can do it by hand. I don't mind, guys. I don't mind. I just want to give you some options. Okay, there are different ways to create mind maps, as you see over here. Now, if you want to do it with a piece of paper and a pencil and with color pencil, all those things, I don't mind, guys. The thing is that I want you to create something for me. I'm gonna let you know eventually in time, not now. Okay, guys. Now, do we have any question? Any question, guys? Any question? Question. Remember, next week, next Thursday, everybody need to be here with his or her camera on in order to present the forum test. Remember, question, and then you need to wait for any of your friends' answer and select 2 of them, and then make comments about those 2 answers that your friends made. Okay, guys, do we have any questions? Shoot. Remember, you need to complete also the vocabulary and the assessment. All the information is already in the site. Remember, in the site, usually you have the I don't remember how do you call it, weekly planning. I don't know how do you call it. You call it like that? No. How do you call it, guys?